To day 9 of On the Road with Stars and Spokes. Good morning, Pascal. How are you? Afternoon, even.
Good afternoon, Steve. Yes, I am well, because yesterday, sort of mid-afternoon time, I passed into Scotland, which was like great, like from a psychological perspective, that's a really good milestone to have hit. And because yesterday evening the weather was really, really good, and I was into the Scottish borders, which is just a lovely part of the world. I pushed on for a lot further than I was going to originally, so I think I pushed on beyond 200k yesterday, which was beyond what the original plan had down. Yeah, so making really good progress, and then set off again early this morning, and I'm a good chunk of the way through today. So yeah, it's all going in the right direction, physically and mentally.
Well, that is absolutely what we want to hear. So how was the wild camping? This is what I want to know about. What was the experience like?
Yeah, it's fine. And I mean, I've done a lot of it. And it's really just the beauty of it is that when you're doing like bike packing while camping, is that you can then, like I did last night, you can push and push and push because you don't really have an aim point, because there are so many options once you get into Scotland, because you're legally able to wild camp in Scotland, which you're not allowed to do in England. So it meant that I could just push and push and push. And then when I really had totally run out of energy and willpower, frankly, I just sort of found a spot and pulled a couple of things out the bags that I run the bike, and then yeah, you just get your head down, and once you're asleep, you could be anywhere really. So it's absolutely fine if you've got like a good sleeping bag and a little waterproof layer around it in case it rains. Then once you're in it, you're good to go. And then I fall asleep quite quickly at the end of these days because there's quite a lot of cycling during the day. So yeah, that was great. It works really well.
Okay, I remain completely unconvinced. I think you're doing a very, very, very because it's certainly not for me. But let's just pop the map up so we can get a handle
Yes.
on where you are. So we've got the map up
Yeah.
so everybody can see that. So you've just
Yeah.
done. I want to say Calliope again, just because it's funny. But obviously you've done that Wild Camp, and then it's on to Clyde, is it?
Yes, yeah, that's the plan for tonight, is to get to Clyde, which is another Navy base, which would be great because they feel very familiar as opposed to RAF bases, which feel less familiar. But yeah, so making really good progress. And in terms of overall distance, today I'll pass through 1,440 kilometres, which is actually the total distance if you're doing a straight line Land's End to John O'Groats. So if I'd started at Land's End, taken the traditional route all the way through, and then ended up at John O'Groats on the route that everybody does, today I would have completed that distance. But because I was going via like Plymouth and Portsmouth and then Clyde as the Navy bases, my route is an extra 600 kilometres on top of that. So I can't stop today. I've got another 600k to go over the next few days. So yeah, but it's all going really well.
Brilliant. So I'm glad to see you're at a coffee shop again, and I'm sure I'm going to take the blame for this because it's for the Wi-Fi signal. So where exactly are you, for those that may know Scotland a bit better than I do?
Oh, life's tough, Steve. Life's tough. No, so I'm in Ardrossan, which is in Ayrshire, which is like in the southwest corner of Scotland. It's a hopping off point for quite a few of the island ferries. You can go from here out to a number of the islands out here on the west coast of Scotland. So quite a few people will know it just as more of a hopping off point into the islands. Yeah, so that's where I am, and working my way up to the north, and then yeah, around about another 60 or 70k to go until I hit Clyde. But the scenery around here is just absolutely stunning, lovely. You know, loads of lochs, loads of hills, all good stuff.
That's brilliant. So I think you've had a few more face-to-face donations whilst in a coffee queue. But anyway, so how's that been going?
Oh, so these were in bakery queues actually. Yeah, so really well. Again, like I always forget that I've got this Heath Robinson thing on my back, and then I always get like little taps on the shoulder or a voice coming from behind saying, "It's amazing what you're doing. Where's your support team?" And then I go into the normal thing about there's no support team, it's just me. And they're like, "That's unbelievable that you're doing it by yourself. Who are you doing it for?" And I talk them through the fact that I'm doing it for the Royal Navy Royal Marines charity, and it's all about mental health awareness. And they just love it, and then they dive into like their purse or wallet, or they hop into a nearby shop, go to a bank machine, grab me some money, and then yeah, I just stick it in the top of my jersey. And I had a count out last night of the funds I've got thus far, and it was just over 150 quid, I think, which is fantastic. It makes a huge difference. You know, not only am I in a bakery getting baked products, which are pretty much my favourite, then people give money to the charity. So these stops are proving to be very fruitful.
So can you bake yourself, or is this just something you get other people to do for you?
I don't get other people to do it for me, but people tend to bake for me because I'm really good at eating baked products. So it's a perfect arrangement. I mean, some people seem to like baking, I think, but then don't always want to eat the whole cake. So then that's where I come into it. They bake it, it looks amazing, and then I just eat it. And I love cake, so it's great. It's like everyone wins there, really, don't they, Steve? I think.
I couldn't disagree more. I'm partial to cake myself, but if you actually saw me, you'd realise I know where I actually put it. But all joking aside, it's fantastic that these donations are coming in, isn't it? Face to face.
Yes.
We've had another donation on the Just Giving page from Kerry, just saying great work, which is obviously great. But that's, the more donations coming in, the better. So you're doing 600 extra kilometres. So
yes.
What we need to see is 600 kilometres worth of donations, if at all possible. That would be great, I think.
That would be amazing, yeah. And if we can get anywhere close to that, like £5,000 mark by the end of the ride, so we've got another, I don't know, all the days blur into one a little bit, but I think another 4 or 5 days to go. And if we can nudge up towards that 5K mark at that point, that would be absolutely incredible. And to encourage you more, I'm just about to go into proper big hills country, so there's going to be lots of uphill slogs in and around the Scottish Highlands over the next few days. So the going is going to get tough again. So yeah, chuck a bit of money our way. All goes to a good cause. That'd be amazing.
So for those of you that enjoy a bit of suffering, please donate, because he will be suffering.
yeah. That's the eloquent way of putting it, Steve. Yeah, if you like to see man suffer, give man money.
So how can people donate, Pascal? Remind us, what do people need to do?
Yeah, so if you head across to justgiving.com, and then it's / stars and spokes for the donations, and then if you could leave like a little message with the donations, that's great, because it really keeps spirits up for me, because I'm doing it solo, obviously. And more generally, for updates, if you head across to the Instagram, again, @ stars and spokes, I tend to push out an evening update around about the 8 o'clock mark each day, just like a short little summary of what I've been up to, what I've seen, and what's on the agenda for the next day. So yeah, you can track me all the way, should you wish to.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. So finally, what has the next 24 hours got installed? Did you get your food delivery? Actually, last time we spoke, you said you were getting a food delivery.
Yeah. Oh, it was absolutely epic. It was like a lentil and it was basically a lentil and chickpea curry and a bunch of rice and some naans, and it's just unbelievable. And so, like, whenever you finish a day cycling, most of the time any food you get tastes delicious, but this food was absolutely next level. So yeah, that was great, and it had all the kind of right stuff in it from a recovery perspective, like a bunch of carbs and a bunch of protein and etc. So all the right stuff that ticked every single box, which is great. So thank you very much to Finney and Holly, who cooked me food, so thank you.
Yes, thanks to them. We don't want you passing out before you get there. That would be very positive, would it? So sorry, back to my question. I shouldn't ask multiple questions, should I? So the original question is, what's the next 24 hours got in store?
Yeah, so a lot of long, slow uphill is what the next 24 hours got in store. So finishing off today, I'm heading across obviously to the naval base, and that's where I get my head down today. And then tomorrow is another 200K day, but there's a lot of uphill, kind of really getting into the Highlands proper from tomorrow, then ultimately aiming for those who know Fort William, which is getting up towards the halfway mark on the west coast of Scotland. I mean, the scenery is unbelievable, but yeah, there's going to be some long old slogs up some pretty big hills in these parts. So, but yeah, no, looking forward to it, and well into Scotland. So yeah, everything's going to plan so far. Famous last words.
Well, that is brilliant news, Pascal. Thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you. Well, so access to the internet permitting, same time, same place tomorrow. But obviously, if we're going to be very far off, we will let people know. But thanks you for joining us once again.
Yeah, brilliant. No worries, Steve. Sounds good. Catch you tomorrow.